We are so close to the end of Monster Hunter Wilds, and yet we haven't really come across a monster that fully stomps me. Sure, some giving me trouble, but I'm beginning to be curious if any of these will actually take me out, given the challenge I'm doing. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're basically around the end of the game, since my current mission markers are to go back to every area that the game has. But before we start, I am curious, how many times do you think I'll fail a hunt in this last part of the game? Feel free to drop it in the comments and come back to it when we end the video. But for now, let's dive right into it. So,
oh no!
Last we left off, we had just beaten Jin the Hog, which seemingly caused problems everywhere else, so we'll need to go check them out. I begin with the Oval Basin, mainly because it was the last place we met. Once we arrive, they tell us that a new Udra has been causing them trouble, so we'll need to hunt it, which also makes pretty clear what the other two areas would be. But for now, we head straight to the new Udra, which happens to be right next to a massive environmental trap. So, we very easily guided into the trap's path. So that's how we'll be starting, huh? Anyways, once I get back, I just activated right away since I saw that it was in the right spot. Now, in comparison to the low rank version, it doesn't feel like it gets any extra attacks. What it does feel is that all its attacks come out quicker, leaving less time to respond and react. Meanwhile, some of its harder hitting attacks actually feel like they get slower, which timing wise was really messing me up, especially since those attacks are eating huge chunks of my health. It has some good follow-ups, but as long as you don't flee straight away from it, they're usually pretty easy to dodge, even more so on circuit. But to be honest, I had way too many close calls, but after a bit, we're able to have it flee to the next area. Now, a big benefit that the top area has is that it has a lot of healing items currently on the walls, so you can grab them as you hop in your circuit and heal while moving. As well as, by this point, I was getting more used to the new typings, so perfect guarding was a lot simpler. When I messed it up, it did really hurt though. But yeah, after a bit of fighting it, it retreats back to its lair, where we find it sleeping. And since this is a Slay quest, you know what we do here.
Nice shot!
And from here, it's pretty straightforward. Just a few dodges, focus strikes, and, well, bonks before it falls. To be honest, still a pretty fun fight, and pretty refreshing in comparison to the other monsters, but not the most challenging in my experience. But hey, it was still pretty fun. If you would like to hear my experience finding new Udra for the first time, feel free to check out this video I'm linking above, or you can check the playlist in the description. And while you're down there, feel free to drop a like if you enjoyed the video so far, or subscribe if you enjoyed this type of content. The support you guys have shown the series is really inspiring to me. I really appreciate it a lot. Our community grows a bit every day, so let's keep it up, shall we? Thanks. Now, from here, we head to the Scarlet Forest. When we arrive, it's pretty much the same situation, with the Aduna causing trouble for the Wetwoods. Now, for this hunt, I decided to bring in the Ray Dao weapon, since I saw that the Aduna was weak to thunder. As for the fight itself, similarly to New Udra, it is a lot faster and more aggressive. It definitely utilizes a lot more jump and leap attacks, and its belly flops seem like have its hitbox start a little bit earlier, all of which deal so much damage and are a bit hard to parry given the odd timing of them. However, it does have one attack that I don't remember seeing in low rank. Basically, it water slides towards you, which is then followed up by a white slide. So, after restocking back in camp, we head back for attempt 2. We're able to deal enough damage so we push it to flee to the next area, even getting a mount once we re-engage with it. I end up playing very aggressive, eating to my health bar, basically warning me every time it left to do an attack. And whenever I healed, I ended up taking damage soon after, which left me perfectly set up for another. And that's 2. One more feint and we'll need to start the hunt over. Very similarly to before, once we get back we deal enough damage to force it to retreat. This time into its lair area, where I definitely started playing a lot more defensive. Whenever I took damage, I tried healing myself back to full. And a bit later into the fight, I remember that I brought the evasion mantle. This allowed me to more comfortably dodge its attacks, since I didn't need to be so specific about timing, as well as giving me a damage boost each time I got to dodge right. And with this better pace, it wasn't long before it actually went down, leaving only the Woodward Plains. For this one, I also checked the weakness in the guidebook, where I found out that it was ice. And since Jin the Hot doesn't have a weapon for Charge Plate, the hero bombing one will have to do. Now, Ray Dao is definitely the hardest one of the 4 apexes, with it being so mobile and having so many ranged options. And given my performance in Duna, I was actually kinda worried going into this. When we arrive to its area, we see it in the air, so naturally, I flash him, letting me begin the fight with a lot of extra damage on top. And thanks to the little exits here, I'm able to actually mount it once it gets to look at me. It even crashes into this pillar, which deals a lot of extra damage to it as well. Now, that was a good opener, but it wouldn't be long until it started to recover. And like the others so far, its attacks, including its laser, got way quicker. And to no one's surprise, they still can one-shot me. Thankfully, I get saved by one of the skill procs, reducing how much damage I took. I'm able to heal myself back up and bait into the next pillar, causing it to go down again, which causes it to retreat. Now in a more open area, it uses a lot of its swiping attacks a lot more frequently, which have a rather odd parry timing. I don't really get it that much, but they do leave them open for more flash bombs. Though be careful, it doesn't mean that the monster is helpless. Far from it, and it isn't long before the monster actually retreats once more, though not that far, just to the next part of the plains area. Here we're able to mount it and even— Bye-bye! Oh no. Oh no! Thankfully in my jump to escape I happened to land near some rocks, so I simply just like that. It tried to snipe me coming out of it, but thankfully I did actually have cover. And it isn't long before it retreats once more. And when we catch up to it, I get one of the coolest engagements that you can get in this game. Now, because of this area elevation, it's actually a little bit harder to touch its beam attacks, as well as its flyby attacks. I get a lot of close calls, but I'm also able to take advantage of a lot of the openings it leaves, particularly the opening in its head after it uses a beam. This not only stuns it for a bit, but also gives you easier access to its head, with which we're able to deal enough damage to cause a retreat one last time, this time into its nest. Since it's sleeping, I prepare bombs, my files, and of course, mess up the setup, which apparently didn't matter, since the rest of the attack was actually enough to take it out, meaning we were able to beat this fight with 0 cards. Not gonna lie, that was really surprising. However, there clearly was more, since whenever there's a gauntlet of monsters like this, it's preparing for an even tougher boss fight, and when we head to the Ice Shard Cliffs, that's exactly what we find. Garmagala, the toughest monster the Wells has, around the time I played it, which was around lunch. And even though this isn't a new monster, it is entirely new for me. So, let's see how it goes. Spoiler, yeah, not well. Basically, even this monster's normal attacks deal enough damage that I can't survive more than one hit, and I'm guessing that its stronger attacks will likely just one-shot me. Anyways, I'm actually KO'd before I'm even able to land a single hit. Thankfully, on the way back, I'm actually able to get him out, which did let me get a little bit of extra damage for free, as well as get Savage X going. Although I didn't really know how to use it back then, so it's just gonna be a little bit of extra chip damage on top. However, my spirits are very thoroughly crushed when it turns out that this hunt is actually for 2 monsters. Basically, I need to fight a Frenzied Blangonga. Now, I've hunted some of these while taking up side quests, so it shouldn't be that much of a problem. Or it wouldn't be if I had to fight them separately, which is not the case. There are both of them here. This makes it really hard to even get to one of them, and becoming even more so they decide to scrap in the middle of this tiny hallway. Though after a bit, they do eventually split off in different directions. However, fighting just one of them didn't mean that it was gonna be easy. Kormagala has so many different attacks that I didn't know, and the timings are pretty odd, given how long it takes to drag its arms on the ground. My only saving grace is that it seems when I'm in low health, it goes for slower finishing moves, so I'm able to skirt by getting back on my circuit and healing back up. However, eventually my luck runs out, and I get caught by one of those big attacks. Once I get back, I still get hit a lot. However, I'm able to actually begin adding up a lot of damage, as wounds begin popping up. However, going after too many attacks in a row ends up with me getting hit, and this time it follows up with a rather fast charge attack, and that's where a hunt failed. To be fair and make sense, this monster definitely feels like one of the tougher ones, and its attack timings are unlike anything I've seen before. Now, when I restart the hunt, there's actually a big benefit that we get, and that is that both monsters actually start to split apart. So I decide to target the Frenzied Blangonga first. It goes pretty well actually. We're able to force it to move to the next area from dealing enough damage. A few close calls, but overall fairly fine. That is, until it decides to pull a DLE on me, comboing me 3 times in quick succession. I was a bit flabbergasted, but that's fine since it only took a little bit of fighting to be able to take it out, leaving 2 entire lights to be able to try and fight the Gormagala again. So, we hit it after it. It doesn't notice me at first, so I click around to see what environmental effects I can use, which leads to me accidentally discovering how to sneak attack. After that, I'm able to deal a good amount of damage, even landing one of the environmental traps on it. And once it got up, I actually got a mount as well, which then sent it back to the ground where I was able to deal a lot of extra damage. However, this did force it to go into its frenzy state, which is extremely dangerous. So in response, I decided to use my evasion mantle. Not only do I understand how to dodge these monsters' attacks a lot better, but the extra forgiveness it gives, as well as the damage boost, definitely helped me deal a lot more damage to this. However, it still only takes one mistake for me to go down, and when I tried to parry too early, I get decimated once more. Now, if I go down even once, I'll be back to the start again. Once I get back, it doesn't take long for it to escape to the next area, area. And since it's not its nest, that means it's not really close to death yet. And here I am, trying to play as carefully as I can. Though I still need to take so many close calls. Even one attack taking like 75% of my health in a single go. However, I can't really let go of the offensive here, so I keep at it until it looks like it's moving to the next area. We end up fighting one floor above us, but aside from one hit, it doesn't really do that much to us, ending up retreating once more. And when I arrive, I am legitimately so thrilled to see that it is sleeping. I prep up my mega bombs that I brought, prepare my files, hell, even the NPC hunter puts down bombs. This time though, I don't mess up the spacer, landing the hit and the kill to my surprise. I hadn't realized that it was actually that low, and I gotta say that was extremely fun. Having to adapt to a monster while learning its patterns, and it being that difficult, those are the moments that really stand out to me. Especially those moments when you actually clear a fight on the last fate. And while I now know that I was playing the game extremely unoptimally, like I didn't know how my weapon actually worked, as well as discovering that sneak attacks exist, just by pure coincidence, yeah, I could have definitely performed a lot better. However, this isn't the last monster the game has, as well as my personal favorite of these fights. Just how Nargigante encapsulated what a fight felt like in World, this monster also has that same feeling, at least for me. So without further ado, here's how my fight against a high rank Arcbot went. And that was it. Is it as tough as Gormagala? Not by a mile, but it still is my favorite fight. Now, there's one last challenge that I wanted to do before I considered the game done. I wanted to clear some of the toughest content that the game had to offer before the title updates came out, all while still not having upgraded my high rank leather armor. However, we'll need to get into those fights next time. So for now, I hope you enjoyed the video. So, how accurate was your fail count? I gotta say, I was surprised that it held up that well. Though then again, I could have done so much better if I actually used my brain for a second. But yeah, thanks so much everyone for all the support you guys have shown. It really does mean the world to me. But for now, that's pretty much all I have to say. I hope to see you all here next time. Bye, see you later.